Hello chess friends and welcome to Azaro's chess channel and welcome to my basics in chess series. Today we're going to continue with this middle game strategies with the mini series of this direction of our attack. So far we did 3 videos. We had this pawn majority, pawn minority and this blocked pawn structure in the center. So these types of positions really showed us our direction of our attack. Today we'll see this piece direction, and the piece direction is one of the most obvious chess principles because we want to create an attack where we have the better activity with our pieces. So let's see now a couple of examples of these very important principles, because it really often happens in a game. You see in this kinds of position, maybe some of us would try maybe knight on a4 and then try maybe some ideas like c4, or maybe b3 and then c4 with I don't know, queen on d1, queen on d2, then knight on d1 and similar ideas. And but you shouldn't here create an attack on the queen side, because you see we have only the knight on the queen side. And if you watch the king side, we have the knight, the bishop on f4, the bishop on e2, the queen on d1. So these pieces are all aiming on the king side. So of course you should coordinate your attack here on the king side. We have also the support of the rook. So here you see this h4 move is really possible to create this early flank attack on the castle king, because white has a huge advantage of piece activity on the king side, and we are allowed to create this attack. So the instructive game that I wanted to show you, it was played by Jose Fernando Kubas against Heimar Ribeiro Marcel, and here queen on a5 was played, queen on d2. It's preventing knight on e4 ideas, because we can simply take and the queen would be hanging, because the knight on e4 would be supporting queen on d2. So here e6, we have now h5. You see we are simply continuing to attack here. Knight takes on e5, bishop takes on e5, bishop on d7, now g4, rook on c8, now we have h takes g6, h takes g6, and now g5. Attacking the knight, knight comes on e8, we have now e4. We want to bring our queen somehow to the dark squares in the game, maybe queen on f4, queen on h2, and then simply trade off the bishops and creating some checkmate threats here on h8. So bishop takes on e5, d takes e5, we have now d4, queen takes d4, rook on d8, and now queenside castling here by white, c5, and now queen on e3, we have c4, we have queen on f4, now bishop on c6, and now the rook comes here on g1. But here, after rook on d4 and queen on h2, you see white has a really deadly attack here around the black's king. So you see this was a perfect attack by Jose Fernando Kubas, really strong play here. And as you saw, we didn't create the attack on the queen side, because we had this piece minority there. We of course want to create the attack here on the king side, because we have the piece majority. So let's see now another example. And again, you see we have these two knights, the knight on f3, the knight on g3. We have them on the king side. Also the bishop is aiming on the queen side and on the king side, and the queen is a little bit blocked out here by the c3 pawn on the queen side, but the queen has a good direction here on the king side. So of course we should coordinate our attack here on the king side. And in these types of position, this is also a standard setup against the perch defense. Here you have also a tactical shot. If you want to pause the video, you can try and find a tactical shot here against black's castle king. So you should pause the video and try to find the best move here. So the best move here is the move knight on h5, because if after g takes h5, we have queen on g5 attacking the king. We have king on h8, but now queen on h6, we are creating this checkmate threat on h7. So now f5 has to be played in order to cut out here this very good diagonal. We have knight on g5, and now knight on f6, and the knight has to be sacrificed because again, to protect here the h7 pawn. We have e takes f6, knight takes on f6, but now knight on e6, and now you simply win the exchange here, and of course we'll have a better endgame here. So you see, again, we created this attack on the king side because we had a very good activity on the king side, because well, also many of us would try maybe moves as c4 and maybe then after that d5. So you see, we shouldn't, as I said, create an attack here on the queen side, because we have really the piece minority. We have only the rook and the bishop here on the queen side. But on the king side we have the bishop, the rook, the two knights, and also this rook. So I think it's a clear idea in the middle game to create an attack where you have the pawn majority. So let's see now another example from top grandmaster level. We have a game played by Garry Kasparov against Lajos Portić, and it's really a well-known game. It's really a nice attack by the legendary Garry, and here you see again we have this pawn majority here on the king side, and the bishop is indirectly attacking on the king. The bishop is also here attacking the h7, the knight is also on the king side, and the queen is also attacking the king side. So of course we should create an attack here on the king side. We shouldn't try maybe some ideas like rook on c1 and then maybe c5 and similar ideas, because that doesn't bring us so much. And you see, in this types of position, a pawn move is not something special here, because we want to stay simply onto this very strong and mobile center. And here Garry Kasparov played the move d5. He wants to liberate all of his pieces here, even if he has to sacrifice a pawn here. So we have here e takes d5, we have c takes d5, bishop takes on d5, but now bishop on h7 with this check, king takes on h7. Now we have rook on d5, we have king on g8, but now Garry finds another very nice piece sacrifice. Bishop takes on g7, king takes on g7, and now knight on e5. Now the queen can also participate in the attack. Rook on d8, queen on g4, king on f8. We have queen on f5, we have f6, but now knight on d7. The king, if the king moves, this would be also a deadly attack around, because we would then have this idea to put the queen here on h7. So that's why black give up the rook for the knight, rook on d7, and now Portić searched here for simplification. He wants to trade off the queens, but of course Garry has now a very nice attack. Queen on h7, rook on c7, but now queen on h8, king on f7, and now rook on d3. We don't want to trade off pieces, of course, because we are now in attacking shape. We don't want to give up our very active rook for this passive rook on c7, knight on c4, rook on d1, knight on e5, and now queen on h7, and king on e6 was played. If you play here king on e8, then you get queen on g8, and then you're forced to bring something in between, but now you get queen on e6. If you bring the queen, then you get checkmated here on d8. So that's why after king on e6, queen on g8 was played. We have king on f5, now g4. If you try knight takes on g4, then you get rook on f3. The king has to move here on the e file, and now you can simply take out the knight, and after queen on f2, you'll be really checkmated in a couple of moves, because you cannot prevent it. So here after g4, king on f4 was played, and now you have simply rook on d4, king on f3, but now queen on b3 with the check, queen on c3, and now queen on d5, king on e2, queen on e4, queen on e3 has to beat, and again very nice checkmate. So let's go back again to this position. We have now, after in this position, after this trades of pieces, here you see that again white coordinated his attack on the king side, because we had there a very nice piece activity. And if you of course playing a middle game, you should watch where your pieces are aiming, where you have a better piece activity, and of course try the attack on that side. Okay, I hope you realize this idea. Meanwhile, you can also watch my other videos from this Basics in Chess series, and also with this mini series of the direction of the attack. And you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to have to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, and chess is the best, of course.